Good morning or afternoon or evening, whatever time it is where you are. Good morning. I'm Mesdora, Deborah Grenard. Welcome to the Community for Conscious Living weekly broadcast. The Community for Conscious Living is a community dedicated to personal transformation and universal harmony, healing the planet by making inspired changes in ourselves and our daily lives to create a sustainable environment and a peaceful world. And I say inspired changes, those that come from within, from knowing the truth of our existence and our connection with all that is, with all things. Today is part 2 of a 3-part series on compassion. Last week we talked about the compassion that is like the radiant sun that, that radiates compassion, that is ever present, all existent. And this is another kind of compassion we're going to talk about today. It is also ever present and existent. And this is the womb of compassion. This is for both men and women because we certainly contain both feminine and masculine qualities inside of us, regardless of which body we're in. And this womb space, this space of, what you might know as the second chakra, or the, second subtle energy center of the body and the lower belly. This is the place of our inner child where we can all bring loving compassion, parenting, mothering, fathering to this space inside of ourselves to heal our own inner child, and we're going to get a lot more into that. So the nature of the womb, I'm just going to make an invocation. In the name of the one, the most ever compassionate, the universally compassionate, the singularly merciful, the grace, is calling on that essence of the one, of the divine. Okay. So the nature of the womb is compassion. God sends compassion to this existence before us. I've mentioned that I studied with a Sufi master from Jerusalem for almost 20 years. He passed last November. And his native language is Arabic. And Arabic is one of the sacred languages. Now, a sacred language is one where the sounds, the vibration of the sounds, the frequency of that vibration, of that energy, it carries the energy and invokes the energy of the things it names. So when you call on the one, the divine, in a sacred language, you're actually invoking the essence of the divine, calling in that vibration. So the word for womb in Arabic comes from the same root as the word for compassion. Last week we used the name Ar-Rahman, which is the existent universal compassion that radiates like the sun. Today we introduce the word Rahim. It's from the same root and also the same root for the womb, and it is the compassion that is received like grace, like receiving God's grace, God's mercy. Before we go into that, let's back up a bit, and I want to talk about why we need this, right? We need it, but sometimes in our ego selves, we want to, especially with that word mercy, it can trigger the what's off of people. But let's talk about why we need this. It's not because we're bad people. It's not because we're wrong, because we're evil sinners or anything like that, right? Let's just back up all the way to a very, very near the beginning point. The premise is that prior to the manifestation of the creation as we know it, everything in this creation that we live in was offered the trust of free will. It was offered to the animals, the birds, the fish, the plants, the trees, the oceans, all the waters, the air, the clouds, the mountains, the rocks. It was offered to everything. Now, let's take a pause here. Can you imagine what life might be like if all of these elements that I just named of nature had the same kind of free will that we humans have? Well, this is a discussion for another day. Maybe we can geek out on that sometimes, because it's I just like geeking out on topics like that, on the what ifs, because it can be really enlightening to the difference between free will and that subsistence in divine unconditional love, and how our exercise of free will impacts the rest of existence of that compassionate divine love. So anyway, all right, so back to this offer of the trust of free will. It was offered to everything, and none of these other elements or creatures accepted this trust because they knew that they could not live a better existence other than an existence completely aligned with the will of God, with unconditional love. Now, we'll take a pause and think about that for a minute too. So think about what we can learn from observing animals and nature, knowing that they chose, that collective consciousness of that part of creation, those pieces of creation chose to live their existence completely aligned with the will of God and completely aware and conscious and knowing of their subsistence in unconditional love. Okay. Humans, we accepted this trust as a collective, or collective humanity, human beings accepted free will. So we come here and we have free will. Now, this is both a trust and it's a challenge, because in order to exercise free will, we must forget that we are one with God, aligned with God's unconditional love. Because otherwise, if we remembered, we'd never leave it and go off on these journeys that we're on. So we forget, and the forgetting is a gradual process. After we're born from the womb of compassion, and that umbilical cord is cut, then over the first 7 years of our lives, we're learning. We're learning what it means to survive here, and we're being imprinted constantly, especially during those first 7 years, with what we need to know in order to survive here. So I think of this a lot like one of those reality TV shows where people are dropped onto the deserted island, and they have to survive right up until a certain point when they get picked up again. But in many ways, this is actually, I mean, it's kind of worse, right? Because it's more challenging, because we're dropped here into this completely foreign space. We forget who we are. We forget why we're here. We forget what we're doing. And we're in a completely foreign space we're not alone. It's a heavily populated Earth space. And we're trying to figure this out from within the confines and constraints of the body and the mind. And there's tons of information that's being broadcast to us all the time, just bombarding us, imprinting us with beliefs that may or may not be true. Okay. And then on top of that, especially as infants, we're totally dependent on other people for our survival, right? And they forgot their true reality and true nature long before we did. So they're totally, immersed in the belief systems of planet Earth, and they're trying to teach us. They're trying to help us, mostly with good intention, trying to help us, but they forgot longer than we did. So this sets the stage for our journey. Sets the stage for the journey. And that's the challenge, right? That's the challenge. Now, I mentioned it's also a trust. It's a challenge and a trust. So the question of trust is, what will we do with our free will? Will we use our free will for the love and caring and the good of all? Or will our forgetfulness and our drive for survival, because we are hardwired for survival, will that lead us down the path of destruction? Will we become fearful and feel that need to dominate and control in order to survive? And will that lead us down that path of destruction of ourselves and the planet? Right? That question right there is what motivates me to spread this message, because we do have choice here. And it depends, the choices we make, which are largely, they come from a subconscious, it depends on how we see the world and how we relate to it. Whether we think we need to dominate and control in order to survive, and if that's what we believe on the inside, that's what we're going to end up doing, right? And that a lot of it comes from what we've been imprinted with, not from the knowledge of the brain. So the question is that question of whether we need to dominate and control to survive, or whether we can trust and rest in the trust and subsist in that love and compassion and live in this world from a place of love and compassion and caring. So it's important that we know that we have some guarantees coming in here. Now, the first guarantee is that of provision. We have everything that we need to do what we've come here to do. That's a guarantee that we have coming in. We have everything that we need to do what we've come here to do. Now, I did a 2-minute video last week. I think I posted it on Saturday, a week from yesterday, on abundance versus sufficiency. It's posted in the Facebook group. So if you haven't seen it after this broadcast, wait till after this broadcast, go and take a look at that. But we're going to go a lot deeper into the topic of abundance, sufficiency, scarcity, sacrifice, all of that kind of stuff, and provision in October. Right? That's one of the things we're really going to get into in October, because really deepening the trust in that is what allows us to navigate this earth journey from a place of caring and loving, that trust, right? As opposed to that, fear that we're not going to have enough, that we've got to fight for our survival, that this is not a safe place, that we're not cared for and provided for. That right there really, is it's a key point in determining which path we're going to take on this trust of free will, with this trust of free will. So that's the first guarantee. The second guarantee is the guarantee of compassion. And that's today's topic. Compassion precedes us on this journey. It's the ocean we swim in. It surrounds us and it infuses us. So we think like, we're on land and we're breathing air and only the fish swim in an ocean, but really the whole of existence, this existence that we live in. And, my spiritual teacher taught, and I know there are many other forms, other systems of beliefs out there that teach that this world, he taught that this world that we live in, everything that we know from this perception of our humanity that we're able to access, is like a drop in an ocean that is much bigger. And there are millions and millions of worlds like this that are inhabited by God's creatures, just like this one. So this world that we live in is like a drop in an ocean. It is like our ocean in a drop. In our water that we swim in, that our spiritual beings in these physical bodies, in this material reality, our water that we swim in is compassion. And compassion is the nature of the womb. It's where we are being formed. When we're getting ready to come into physical bodies, these physical bodies are being formed in the womb, and the divine breathes life force into our physical bodies while this being is being formed in the womb. This womb is the home of divine compassion, which carries life, that is to be born into this world to travel this sacred journey. Now, the gift of this journey is the evolution of the soul. That's one of the reasons why, I guess the gift at the end of the journey, right, depending on how we travel it, is the evolution of our soul. We're on a path of evolution, of learning, and it's really an exquisite path, many gifts and opportunities that enhance the evolution of our soul. So we are immersed in compassion at all times. Okay, and last week we worked with compassion that exists as a radiant energy like the light of the sun. It just is. Today we're working with a compassion that is given and received, like the moon receives the light of the sun and reflects it to the world. This is the feminine form of compassion, the feminine nature of compassion. So I want to read a poem. Last week I read something from this book also. This is the Neil Douglas Klotz, The Sufi Book of Life. And I'm just going to read a poem by Hafiz. I don't know if you know the Sufi poet Hafiz. I think he's hilarious. I think he's funny, but sometimes his poetry is a little twisted, and I like that too. Okay, so this poem, and yeah, like I said, I'm reading it from Neil Douglas Klotz's book, The Soupy Book of Life. The sun is the wine, the moon is the cup. Pour the sun into the moon if you want to be filled. Drinking such wine could be good or bad. Why not drink anyway? So I'll be honest with you, I don't really know where the could be good or bad comes from, because I can't see any bad in pouring the water of compassion into the cup of compassion, right? and drinking that wine. It's, you know, love plus love is love, or love times love is love, and it's all love, right? It's love, it's compassion, it's beauty, and it's exquisite. So again, both forms of compassion are from the same root word and from the same root word as the word for womb. Compassion in any form is ever present. It's a gift, and it's one of the secrets that allows us to travel between the worlds. We talked last week of compassion as a bridge between the worlds. You know, like when we are faced with a situation where we find ourselves like feeling separate, feeling angry, feeling judged or judgmental or sad, or, you know, wanting to justify, rationalize, blame. All of those things kind of come from the same place of separation. When we can have compassion and find compassion to understand what someone else may be experiencing and feeling, and have compassion for their state, their situation, whatever situation we're dealing with, when we can have that compassion is what takes us from that place of judgment and separation to that place of unconditional love, to just love, right? And in that way, the compassion through the heart bridges the worlds, the world of duality and separation to the world of unconditional love, which is a unity, right? But you know that those times, if you remember if you ever watched television as a kid, like, you know, beam me up, Scotty, or if you've ever seen the movie for The Matrix, you know, where he's saying, okay, I need an exit, right? Compassion is one of those things that we can call on in these times. We can call on in these times of, you know, feeling that crisis or, you know, emergency, to take us out of that situation and take us back to love. But you don't have to wait until you have an emergency, right? You can use it as a preventive maintenance, because the truth is, on very subtle levels, we move in and out of the perceptions of being connected with all that is and with love, and being separateness and, you know, division. We move back and forth and in and out of those states many, many times, probably per minute, right? So God sends the compassion before us, and we call on it before we need it to keep us at peace, to keep us sane. We can use it for self-healing and for that soul evolution, to return our consciousness to that our awareness to that state of compassion. Compassion is a very, I want to make a very important point here. Compassion is the nature of the womb of the woman. It is the sacred bridge between the worlds through which a new life enters into this world. So, you know, the heart takes us from the direction of separation back to the love. The womb is that place that is where that compassion, the compassion precedes us. And we're formed in this womb of compassion, and through the womb of the woman, which is entrusted with that gift of compassion, we're born into this world, which is a larger container of compassion. We're still in a womb of compassion. But I think this is a very important message for women, because we are entrusted with this gift of compassion. We carry this bridge between the worlds inside of us, every one of us. We tend to carry shame in this space. And this is another conversation, a belief that I feel strongly, passionately that needs to be changed. We need to change this. This quality, this vibration of compassion is the true nature of what exists in and of the womb here within us. It is our true nature. Our true nature is sacred, it's holy, divine love and compassion. This is the nature of the womb of the woman. Rather than hide ourselves under the shame, the guilt, the unworthiness, we need to let our true nature shine through us. That sacred compassion, that holiness, that radiant divine love to well up from within us and shine through us with all of its creativity and strength. These qualities that we carry inside are from God, to God, of God, and they are worthy. They're a part of who we are, what we are made of. It is what we are made from. It is the elements that we're made from, and they are worthy of love, honor, and respect, and no less. Worthy of love, honor, and respect, and no less. We need to clear away any beliefs that tell us otherwise, anything different from that. So realizing maybe we need to hold a special discussion group on this just for women, where we can actually come together in an interactive, participatory setting on a call, maybe a Zoom call or something, have Zoom also, where we can have an open discussion about this. If you're, as a matter of fact, if you're interested in this, make a note and email me at Debra, D-E-B-R-A, at joyfullyliving.com, or put a note in the Facebook group or something, and we'll get that going, because I think that's much needed and something we need to do. Excuse me. Okay, so for now, for both women and men, this womb space, which I realize you can't see on the camera what I'm pointing to, but it's the area of our second chakra, our second subtle energy center. It's a space of, where we carry our sexuality, creativity, is the home of that inner child between, the ages of 2 and 7, that was in the state of forgetting, feeling abandoned, feeling left here, feeling separate, as separating from God, and being imprinted with all of this information from the world that is saying this is what you need to know to survive. This is what you need to know to survive, right? This is where a lot of our programming that we carry with us even today comes from, right? Because we all carry wounding from our childhood, and wounding around sexuality in this space. And this wounding stifles our creativity. It keeps us from receiving love. It keeps us from really having the courage, and from just being able to exist and subsist in the fullness of who we are, our true nature. Okay, so we're going to begin our meditation today with bringing compassion to this space, the inner child space, right? Who was at the time of this development. This is like the imprinting and the memories and everything from this phase of development is held in this space in the lower belly, right? It's that imprinting and those memories and everything is still held there. So we want to bring this compassion to this space to nurture and bring healing and love and compassion to this child, and remind it of its truth, its true existence in God and subsistence in compassion. We want to remind it that it never really left the womb of compassion. It was born into a different world, and that umbilical cord was cut, and it thinks that it's separated. We all do. But we are still in the womb of compassion, and we still swim in the waters of that womb. The compassion is there for the child now. It always has been. we have never been alone, right? And this lives within us even today. Sometimes I feel like we're swimming, we're all swimming in this ocean and we're trying not to get wet. And I recognize this when I do my own self-healings and also when I'm working with clients. It's like, you know, we're swimming in this ocean, but we're like, you know, kind of dancing around trying to not get wet, like in the shower, dancing around trying not to get wet, you know. But we're in an ocean of compassion, but we resist it because we've built up all these barriers to love, right? That's one of the poems from the poet Rumi, who says, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all of the barriers that you've built against it, right? So we've got all these barriers that we built against love because of this imprinting from the early years, that we've taken on beliefs that this love is not safe in this world. And a lot of times the love that we encountered in early childhood in this world was not safe. However, there is a presence of love that is completely safe, that we can access at any and all times, that is safe, that will give us that love and compassion that we need to bring healing, to bring trust, to bring that sense of connection and safety that in each one of our hearts we truly yearn for. So let's get to our comfy space and get ready for the meditation. And we're going to let ourselves rest into this ocean and get wet, to really let ourselves get wet, to be in the existence of this ocean, to become the ocean, right? Another poem by the poet Rumi, you are not a drop in the ocean, you are the ocean in a drop. I mentioned that at the beginning of the broadcast today. You are the ocean in a drop. So let us be the ocean of love and compassion. Okay, so let yourself get comfortable in your space, in your physical space. And let's begin with breath. Begin with focusing on your breath. And make an invocation in the name of the one, the most merciful, the ever compassionate. I'm just calling on the prophets, calling on the guides, the angels, the saints, the perfected ones, all of the guides and helpers that are here for us. And I invite you to call on your own as well, to accompany us on this journey, to guide us on this journey, to help to open us to this love and compassion so that we can know the truth and the safety that is here. Begin with focusing on breath. And focus your breath into your heart center to start out. Start with focusing the breath into the heart center, like you're breathing in and out through this funnel at the front of your heart center. Taking air in through this funnel and breathing out through this funnel. And you are filled and surrounded with this essence of unconditional love and divine compassion. This compassion that is there for you at all times, for you to receive and for you to be. So let yourself, as you're surrounded by this compassion, let yourself breathe in this compassion through your heart center. Let yourself receive this deep into your heart center, as deep as you can take your breath. As deep as you can take your breath, let this breath breathe into your heart and fill all of your heart space with this essence of divine compassion. Last week we used the word Rahman, R-A-H-M-A-N, Rahman. And this other more feminine form of compassion is Rahim. Rahim, it's the same root, R-A-H-I-M would be how it would be spelled in English. Rahim, you can use that word and call on that in that sacred language, which invokes the actual vibration, the frequency, the essence of compassion. So breathe that in, invoke that essence of Rahman, Rahim, and breathe that into your heart center. And as you're breathing that in, let it come in deeply into your heart center as you inhale that essence. And as you exhale, just let your heart be soft. Release anything, any of those barriers, and just relax. Relax into this ocean and let this water of compassion flow into your heart center. Let this ocean of compassion just flow into your heart. Flow into your heart. With each breath, inhale and let your heart drink this in. Let it drink it, drink it, drink it. Like the camel who's been on a very long journey in the desert and needs to refill. Let this essence of compassion be your watering hole. Let your heart drink from this water and refill with compassion. Drinking this in. Inhaling in this essence of divine compassion. Letting this flow into your heart. Like pouring from the sun into the moon to fill the cup. Let this fill the cup of your heart center with the essence of compassion. However you choose to apply this today, compassion for yourself, compassion for whatever is happening in your world, in your life, just let this compassion fill you. Breathing in, and as you exhale, relax and release. Just let go of any other that might be happening there. And let yourself relax into this ocean that's being poured into your heart. And put a hand over your heart center and one over your low belly, that area of your second chakra, your second subtle energy center. And let's begin to breathe in and out of both of these centers together. So as you inhale, let yourself feel your heart space, your chest space, and your womb space, your belly. Feel them both expand as you inhale, and as you exhale, just let them both come to rest and relax. Be at peace. Inhaling in, feel them expand and open, and let this essence of compassion be drawn into both of those spaces and all of the space in between. And as you exhale, just let them come to rest, relax, and release, and come to rest. Now you can even think of, as you inhale, this essence of compassion coming into your heart. And as you exhale, let it flow down into your belly, into your womb space, flowing from the sun to the moon, from the sun of your heart to the moon of your womb space. Inhaling in that essence of divine compassion into your heart center, and you exhale. Just let this flow into your womb space to allow the space in your womb to be filled with this essence of compassion. This water of compassion flow into this space to fill your belly, to fill your womb space. And invite your conscious body to really drop in to the home of your physical body, to be present here. and receive. Be present and receive. And let yourself receive deeply into your womb space. So let this essence of compassion flow into this space. You can set your intention for this inner child, this child that forgot the truth of its existence. Set your intention to turn your heart of compassion and love, that maternal compassion that you carry, and whether you're a man or a woman, that parental compassion, that loving compassion that you carry in your heart center. Let that flow from your heart to your own child, the space of your inner child. And you can even take your arms, I'm showing on the video here, it's your arms like this as if to cradle your belly. And you can hold those down around your belly space and cradle your own belly, your own child space here. Let your arms are an extension of your heart center, right? Your palms are an extension of the energy from your heart center. So let them cradle and surround the space of your child, and let the radiant compassion from your heart radiate into this space of your child. And just breathing in and out that essence of divine compassion. Breathing it into your heart and letting it flow into this bowl. Your pelvic girdle is like a bowl, right? It is the cup. Let the compassion flow into this cup and fill this space. Fill you with that love and compassion. And if you're aware of any places where that child in you is in need of love and compassion, then set your intention and invite that child. That child still exists in that state within you. So invite that child. Invite that child to receive, to open and to receive this water of compassion that is flowing into this womb space, into this bowl that is filling as an ocean of compassion within you. Let the compassion and the love flow from your heart, and invite this child inside of you to receive, to open, to receive, and to rest into this ocean of compassion, to just be. Let this bring healing for your past and your present. Okay? Love and cradle and hold this space. This is the pure water of compassion. When we call on Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, these qualities of divine compassion, these are a state of existence no matter what we do in this lifetime, no matter what we feel in our hearts or our bodies, or what information we've been imprinted with in this lifetime. Nothing we do can change the existence, the nature of divine compassion. And this divine compassion is eternal, it's ever present, and exists within us, it flows through us, it is here. It is here now. So let yourself receive it. Let this child inside of you rest into it. Let this child inside of you, remember, this child inside of you is closer to that knowing of the truth of your existence than you are. In many ways. Depending on what you've been through and what kind of work you've done. But in many ways, this child, was not far off from that time of forgetting. It was actually going through that phase of forgetting and being re-imprinted during this time. So this vibration, as it flows through this space, can remind the child of what it already knows, what it was in the process of forgetting, but truly knows to be the reality. Right before this, what the heck confusion came in of being in this world, on this crazy survival reality show that we live in. So let this child be reminded and rest into this peace, this peaceful ocean of the divine presence within. Breathing in that essence of compassion, Rahman or Rahim, holding and loving and cradling, and letting the compassion from your own heart radiate into this space to love and hold and nurture this child, and allow this child the space and the permission to remember the truth, to remember the truth. So invite this child and let this child, allow this child to receive, to open and drink in, just like we drank into our hearts earlier, that water of love and compassion. Let the child bring in and drink in this compassion into his heart or her heart. Let the child drink in this compassion and receive it and receive it and receive it. Be filled with this essence of divine compassion. Rahman Rahim. Rahman Rahim. Rahman Rahim. Rahman Rahim. Rahman Rahim. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Just let yourself and your child together drink in this essence of divine compassion. Let yourself drink it in and rest into this ocean. Become the ocean in your drop. This is the compassion, the bridge between the worlds that carries us from the separation to the remembrance of that truth of unity, of unconditional love. The bridge between the worlds. It's the bridge through which new life is born and reborn. The pathway that through which we can give birth to new aspects of ourselves, to remember the true aspects of ourselves. Let's take a few more minutes and really breathe that compassion, and let your heart hold your own child in love and compassion, to be with this child, receiving and remembering the truth of your existence, your subsistence in compassion. Let's take a few minutes and breathe with this. Inhaling in this essence of compassion to your heart, and letting it flow from your heart into the cup of your womb space. Letting it fill all of this space, releasing, washing away, and releasing anything other, any of the barriers that keep us from receiving, believing, and subsisting in this essence. Inhaling, receiving in, drinking, breathing in, and exhaling, releasing, relaxing, relaxing into and subsisting in the ocean of compassion. This is a cycle of life in the spirit, between the womb and the heart center, the thymus. There's a cycle of life through which we travel between the worlds. It's very important to know this space, to know the truth of your existence. So you're welcome to continue with this if you'd like. If you want to bring this to a close, or when you're ready to bring this to a close, remember to end with gratitude. And this is sincere gratitude for the one and only, for anything you may have received, whether you're conscious of it or not. But ending with gratitude. Sincere gratitude from the heart helps to open the heart even more so that we take in whatever's present within us, moving within us or out of us. Just take it in even deeper and let that imprinting go into a even deeper level of the cellular patterning, you know, that consciousness that we hold in the cells. Letting that really come in and move throughout all of the body, all of the heart, all of the soul. Ask of the One, help us to be the clean mirrors to reflect your light, the clear vessels for your light and compassion to move into this world, to spread your peace and your truth in this world. And if you'd like to add your own personal prayer and intention here, we'll give a space for that. I want to thank you for joining us today. Please join us in the Facebook group. It's Community for Conscious Living Facebook group. You can access it on Facebook. You know, if you're already a member, you can just look up Community for Conscious Living, or at joyfullylivingwellness.com/the-community. There's a link there. You can join us there for further conversations about personal transformation and universal harmony. If you like what you've heard and experienced here, please share it with friends. I make this freely available, no opt-in required or anything like that, so it's free to share. And of course, if you want to receive reminders and that you're welcome to opt in, there is a place at the bottom of the webpage, joyfullylivingwellness.com/the-community, where you can opt in there to receive reminders and updates and other information about what's going on in articles as well. And when you do opt in there, you'll receive a free copy that you can download of the 10 foundational principles of spiritual healing. And that's a one-page, one-sheet reminder you can put up anywhere, so you can see that to remind you of the truth of our existence and that passageway of, you know, why we're here and what the heck we're doing here, and what this journey is about. So I encourage you, invite you to get that, to share it with friends. We each need to do our part. Each and every one of us, every step we take is important. We each need to do our part and take our steps to be, as Gandhi says, to be the change we wish to see in this world. So again, next week we're going to do part 3 of the compassion series, and then we're going to move into talking about this, I mean, really anchoring in the trust and provision, so we can look at, you know, the whole topic of abundance a lot of times comes from a fear of lack. And we want to move out of that conversation and into the trust, just the trust and provision and what we really have, so that we can act from that place rather than an overcompensation from a fear of lack. And that is key to being able to have peace in this world. It stems from trust. We've got to have that. So compassion first, and then we move into this place of trust, and we're really going to focus on bringing it out into the into our actions, really, because you know, I mean, you guys named this community, right? The people who voted on this named it a community, chose the name of community. So community needs to be more about me talking to you. It needs to be about us coming together, us sharing ideas and interacting, and really looking at how we can bring what we have, what we learn, what we are, you know, discover within ourselves what our connection to all things, bringing that into the world in action, so that we really are using what we have to make a difference in the world, to make this world a better place, a world of peace and love and compassion and connection. Okay, so until next week, hopefully I'll see you in the Facebook group and on the email. I hope you have a joyful, peaceful, loving, compassionate week. Thank you very much.